Okay, so welcome back to another video. Today we are doing more on the car, obviously, with Sam right now. He's in his new daily whip, the Mighty Corsa. Just basically going to put the windscreen and stuff in today, so we've got to go tool station quick. It's fast, yeah.
Mate, it's better.
We're going to go tool station, going to grab mastic gun, because we need an extra strong one for the windscreen adhesive, and then we're just going to wing it, get a windscreen in. I've got all the right stuff, and yeah, it should be mint, so we're going to get over there now. Give her some beans, give her some full throttle. Boys. Yeah. Is that full throttle? I thought he was joking. Okay, and we're back at the car, and as you can see, it is raining, but we're just under the cover enough that I'm not too concerned. As of right now, all the water's falling onto the back of the tarpaulin here, all down, but basically getting prepped to put the windscreen on. Got this cover and stuff on the car, going to move all of this bits off in a minute. Got some suction cups here to put on the windscreen, and I've got this little kit which comes with everything I need, including the sealant, which if I can not lose anything would be good. This is the little primer you need. You've got to put it on the windscreen first. You rub it all the way around, and then you get this, which is the actual sealant, and you need a good enough mastic gun for it. And I've gone out, I bought a mastic gun. It's got like the right ratio for it, which I didn't even know mastic guns have ratios, but they do. This one's like a 25:1. If you've ever used mastic gun for sealant or like Tiger Seal stuff, you know it's really tough to get out sometimes unless you've got a big hole in it. Obviously this has a big hole in it, and it's going to push it out fast enough for me to get it all around the windscreen. So right now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get the primer all around the windscreen. I've cleaned it up with some, all I had was brake cleaner, put it on a rag, wiped it around, got rid of all the dirt. So now I'm going to go around with the primer and get that all sorted. So for now I have to sit here and shake the primer up. Fingers crossed we're going to be good. So let's just send it, let's get it done. Okay, so since the last update, I'm now inside the car. It's probably really echoey. The windscreen is in. It's all sealed up. That's all the sealing. And right now my phone's about to die, but I thought I'd explain what I'm doing so I can get in and get it charged and explain it then. Yeah, moving on from the windscreen, we're moving back onto the fuel systems. So what I ended up doing is buying a Mark II fuel sending unit, which basically has different fittings on the end to allow, not specifically this fitting here, but a different one to work. So I'm going to rip this one out, go inside and show you exactly what we're doing. Also, that's my fitting that's going to be going to where I need to go to. Okay, and so I am going to be changing this over to the new Mark II fuel sending unit. Specifically, actually, I am changing this over to a Mark II, which is out of a 1.6 or 1.8, one of the early ones, because it doesn't have the little pressure regulator on it. So what I'm going to be doing is taking the fuel pump back off of this one, mounting it up to this one, and I also need to take the plug off, which goes into the actual port there, so everything plugs into that. So I'll be taking that off because it plugs straight into the pump. And the main reason I'm changing this over is because on here to run AN fuel lines is very difficult. You can cut that off and try and put like a compression fitting on there, but the fittings I've got don't work with that. However, I did notice before looking at a Mark II, they come with these style, which are like the push fit style ones. So what you can actually buy is, I've got these from XO Racing, is the AN converter things for these. So basically a push lock, so it does come supplied with a clip, but I'm not using that. And essentially all you've got to do is fit it up and push it on, and that is an AN fitting on there. And then I can put a little right angle, run my lines off of it, and that's the main reason behind me running this. And the bonus is it's slightly newer and all the connectors are pretty much the same, so we should be good. So I'm going to go ahead, strip that one down and swap it over to this one now. It's another day. I'm sat in the car, so it's a bit of an awkward one. Pretty shitty news today. My gazebo decided it wanted to no longer exist, so that has fallen to the wind, basically. I don't know how else to say it. It's gone, it's savage, whatever. But I'm going to show you what I'm doing right now. I'm pretty happy with how some of this is coming along, to be fair. So I'm just sort of making the fuel system work at the moment, and let me just show you. So obviously this is the new Mark II fuel sending unit in there, and I put one of these fittings on. I've bent that up a little bit. Obviously I've got one of the lines running to the front of the car at the moment, which runs straight down, and that's the return line. So right now I'm working on the feed line. Now obviously I only have these fittings in straight. So my plan is to put a fitting on here straight and then try and get like a turn on it. And then I've decided I'm going to mount my fuel filter right on top of the tank, kind of like here. I've got this little bracket. I've put a little bolt through there. I've not done it up tight yet, just to sort of hold it. It needs two, but I think one's going to be plenty strong enough. I mean, it's not going through any major forces or anything, so once I get that tight, should be good. And I think that looks quite tidy considering. So I just need to get my fuel lines ran, so come from here to this, and then run the ANs straight to where we need to go. Return just needs to be cut and we'll be sweet there. So I am in the wind. I'm going to try and make this work. Obviously no more gazebo, so if it rains, it rains. Also, dash frame is kind of in, but my plan is to finish off doing the fuel stuff first, and then I'll bolt this all the way in. Then I can start running some of the wires through. We've still got loads to go, but I want to finish the fuel system first. So let's get that all sorted out now. I'm going to go get the fittings, and yeah, we should be golden. I was in the process of doing the fuel lines, and I accidentally kinked one of the lines. Lucky enough, it was probably only about a meter's worth, so I've still got some usable line there. Won't need that, however. I do have enough line left to finish making the fuel line. So I've reused this fitting, but you have to change the little washer in there. This little bad boy, where is it? The little washer in there that comes with the fitting, the little chrome bit. You have to change that every time. It's like the crush washer. So change that over to this line, and I'm going to be a little bit more careful this time. I'm going to rerun the feed line back through, and then once that's on, I can show you how we're getting on with everything else. So let's get it. And before I show you, that's all the fuel lines ran. So in here is my layout for the feed going to the filter and then through, and then right here is obviously the drain. And as you can see, they come up here, go down to where they need to go. Obviously I need to do some tidying up, organise it all, make sure it all looks and is held up and not rubbing on anything, but pretty happy with the outcome on that. I've still got to tighten this fitting up here, and all the actual lines together, and then we should be mint. But I'm quite happy with how the fuel lines have turned out. So all the fuel lines are now tucked up underneath. As you can see, they come down. So this is through the wheel well. They come down there, they don't rub on the tank, and underneath you can see they run all the way along. What I've done is I ended up P-clipping one and then cable tying the others to it, because I didn't have to run too many P-clips under there because it was too awkward to do it, and it keeps them up close to the floor as opposed to sort of halfway down a chassis rail there. So that's the fuel system now ticked off the list. There is still obviously the last thing I need to do actually, which is run the breather line. Probably just gonna run it out along and then just put a line down and cable tie it to the other fuel lines there. But for now, it's done. It's 11 o'clock at night. It's 4 degrees out. I'm pretty over it. Carrying on with the build, I'm not too sure where I am. As you know, the gazebo's gone, the fuel lines are ran. That's how they sit. I'll put a little bit of rubber hose around it to stop them rubbing together. But moving on from that, fuel lines are done. I'm working on the head drain, because if you remember one of my last videos, you can't really see, just down there is an AN fitting. This one here and this one there as well. I'm currently trying to run the lines to go back to the sump. So I'm running into the problem, this line, it sits kind of close here, but I can get away with it if I bring it round a little bit. And the next problem is if I want to run the hose the way I want to run it, I have to put it over the top of the gearbox piece there and run it down, which obviously there's a potential that it will rub through the hose. So I'm actually going to get my little dial grinder out. I'm going to get up in here and I'm going to basically grind this piece of the gearbox off, because it's not doing anything, it's in the way. And obviously because it's not on a 13, I could actually go out and get an adapter, but I don't have an adapter now, and I don't really want to keep spending money on all these fittings because it's getting quite expensive just by doing it. Although I've spent a lot of money already, it's very difficult. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get my little grinder out and I'm going to try and get that back as far as I can, because there's no way I can get in there with a cutter and cut it off, so we're going to get that done now. Okay, so we have now, well, Mark turned up, I should say, kind of a good time, I guess. He turned up and offered to grind it back in there with a grinder, and that is now all done. So we've got clearance for the line to come down. Obviously there's bits of valley everywhere, so I'm being cautious. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make some lines. So I actually bought an oil cooler ages ago to run with the car. It was off of an RB. I was going to use it for this. The lines are basically too long, and I've got some more lines, and it's got some fittings on that I'm going to be utilising. So these are the fittings. They're like tight 90-degree ones, as opposed to the ones I had, which was these, which don't work everywhere. So I'm going to be using them tighter ones for one of the lines, and using another one on the bottom and a normal one of them somewhere else. So what I've got to do now is I've marked up the length I want. I'm going to cut this line where I need it to be, so it's a little bit longer, allows a little bit of slack in the line, so I can tie them up out of the way without them rubbing on anything. But once I've done that, I can test fit it back up on there, and then I can smooth out the area so there's no real sort of sharp edge. I'm kind of grinding away at the gearbox, but it's working out relatively well. So I'm gonna make up the one line quick, and then we'll offer it up, and fingers crossed it's good. And there we have it. We have the head drain lines ran, as you can see, come out quite nicely, come where they need to go, straight down into the locations that they want to be. They're nice and out of the way of where the turbo and the downpipe's going to be, so good there. Obviously we trimmed a bit of the gearbox to make it suit, so all I've got to do is take these lines and back off again, which is a nightmare because they're quite hard to get on down the bottom there. Just because this one on the left is just a little bit too long, so it makes it a little bit hard to get it on, but still easy enough. Yeah, pretty happy with that. That's all done, ticked off the list, so we can move on to the next part of the build. Okay, so not only has it started raining, doom and gloom, I've ran into some problems. I got right on my hand for measurements. What's happened is one of my fittings here is come away from the head, so now what I have to do is basically mark up 2 holes, because I don't want to take the engine out. I need to drill 2 holes in here in my freshly painted bulkhead, which is great. As you can see, that's one of the fittings there. So I'm going to do 2 holes. I'm going to hole saw it on the angle here, or step drill it, same one there, and basically I'm going to have to do that so I can get in and bang some new fittings in, because I don't feel like pulling the whole engine out. I'd much rather drill some holes in the cutter. So that's great. So yeah, right, it's another day. Obviously, as you've seen in the last bit, we had an issue there. So rather than try and hole saw stuff out, I got the angle grinder out, stuff to protect the glass, and I got Lewis. Lewis is back doing the scary bit with me, so we're actually gonna cut a hole in the bulkhead where I did my original piece, and do a riv nut piece now. So then it's like sort of serviceable, basically, in case I need to work on the back, like where the fittings are, colour like that, enough to then make a plate over the top of the riv nut, and basically I'm just gonna like silicone seal it in there, maybe some Tiger Seal or something, just stop the smoke coming in the car and the smell. So
let's do it.
And yeah, done. Cut it out. There's my fittings. A little bit, actually it's kind of spot on. That's what I want, and then I can just. So that's what we cut out, which is very upsetting because it took a long time to make. But I take my tape off. Now we can get these fittings in, so let's do that. And we are all done. Lewis?
Oh, at long last.
How was it?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, but it's just fiddly.
Yeah, one of the fittings got a little bit, but I've changed one of the head drain fittings, the one that slid out. Kind of show you, to be fair, actually. As you can see through the cutout, the fittings are now on. This one on the left is not done up tight yet, because I put Loctite around it and waiting for that to dry, and then I'll nip it up. Yeah, I changed that back fitting to a 120, so that it does kind of point more towards where I want it to go. It pulls off a little bit that way, but it's better than what was the 90 that was on there, because I was trying to get it down there. So the lines not, well, it's a bit tight. I think it should be okay. Like, it's not mad tight. There's still, I can still move the fitting around down the bottom. It's just a bit tight up the top, so fingers crossed it'll be all right. And this one's nice and loose. Everything goes exactly where I want it to go, so I am actually quite happy with it. So that's going to be it for this video. So what I'm going to do in the next video, or probably before the next video, is I'm going to make up a little plate with some rib nuts and just put it in place, because it is quite handy to have that to be removable, especially if the fittings get messed up, because it's such a fiddly thing. And I'm new to doing this with a CA. It's hard work. They make a proper solution for the RB, and this is still proper, but it's like you're hitting in fittings into the head, so it's a little bit difficult, a little bit of a pain. So that's going to be it for this video. So Lewis, thank you very much.
Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe.
Peace out.